right? And now the next thing you can do is create a commitment statement, right? Write this out. I, insert name, commit 100% to doing whatever it takes, traveling whatever distance to be financially successful or to be successful in whatever you want. Signed, Clint X Morgan, or sign your name. Commit to it. What's up, legend? So the thought of achieving any worthy goal, it sounds massive. It's like, holy shit, like where do I start? How am I going to do this thing? What if I said you really only have to worry about the next 90 days to achieve any goal in your life? So in today's podcast, I want to talk about the power of the 90-day sprint and how this has radically transformed my life, my finances, and not just for me, but for thousands of people in our community. And now this is something that we teach, and this is something that people use as a tool to get the most out of themselves, the most out of their business, the most out of their financial results, the most out of their health. And so I'm going to unpack and uncover and share some of the key points, some of the tips, some of the insider secrets, and how this came about for me was, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was in a really, really bad place financially. A lot of debt. I was in a Part 9 debt agreement with the government. If you're an Australian, you might know what that means. It's sort of one step before bankruptcy. I had all this debt. I was always behind on my bills. You know, I'd be splitting payments for rice and eggs down at the IGA. I would, I called myself the spiritual bum of Burleigh, and, finances were tight. And so I was like, I really need to change things in my business. And I read this book by Eric Worre, because I've made a lot of money in the direct sales industry, and he's like a bit of a legend. And he talked about this idea of a 90-day sprint, going all in for 90 days. And I started reflecting. I was like, wait a second, because I used to be a personal trainer. And when we did any training programs for our clients or for ourselves, it was always 90 days, 12 weeks. You do a 12-week program. And, my clients and myself, a lot can happen and a lot can change in 12 weeks. And I was like, actually, yeah, 12 weeks is a powerful period. It's sort of like enough time to stay focused for, but it's not too long where it's like you'll lose motivation. If I was sitting here saying, you just got to be applied for 12 months straight, you'd be like, bro, 12 months, man, I got a family, I got Christmas, I got holidays. So I'm just saying is like, no, it's just 12 weeks, 90 days. And so I started to see the correlation between the results that I used to get in the gym for my clients, for myself. And, maybe I wouldn't get someone to their ultimate goal. Say someone came to me and they wanted to lose 50 kilos, probably not going to happen in 12 weeks. However, you could lay some epic foundations, get some really powerful results, and set yourself up for success and create some really powerful foundations and habits that are going to really stick and create some momentum in your life in the area that you want to create the results in. Now, I'll probably use the area of business in this, but you can use this 90-day sprint idea for anything, whether it's transforming your health or your body shape or your finances, or, for me, I'm in a 90-day sprint right now creating music. We're doing 12 tracks in 12 weeks. So I'm in this sprint, and I'll explain what I've done and use music as an example, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? It doesn't matter what the goal is, what you want to achieve. It's possible following the 90-day sprint concept. So the first emphasis that I want to have is like just knowing the power of 90 days and knowing that a lot can change in 90 days. And if I look at our business now, we have thousands of people all over the world that have been impacted, helping them get started, creating freedom online, creating more money for themselves. There's been a lot of money being distributed to these people, and myself included, to help us support us on our lifestyle. There's been a lot of sales, there's been a lot of impact that's happened globally. And this has happened through, let's say, a handful, 5, maybe 6, 90-day sprints, if that. Like 90 days of intense focus. Now, I'm not saying I don't do anything outside those 90 days, and I haven't done anything outside of those 90 days. I do. There's a lot that goes on behind the workings of a successful business. But there's been these core moments. And oftentimes they come with like intense transformation as well, where I've gone from like broke to billionaire. No, not that extreme, but like, having, being broke and then creating financial success, or being overweight and out of shape. And then, in 90 days, becoming fit and lean and fit and lean and fit and vibrant. And so a lot can happen in a 90-day sprint. So I'm going to break down the key elements to remember, to focus on, and there's 2 parts to it. The setting up the energetic container for success, because success is its energy. And if you can get in the right energy and be in the right frame of mind, and I'll be discussing more about this in future podcasts, because this is the essence of the Rich Mystic Man. And this is what I want to help you guys understand. I want to be your mentor in this and give you a different view of life and a different vocabulary and a different perspective, one of possibility, one of creation, and empowering you to sit in the driver's seat of your life and take the reins and create the life that you can be proud of. That gives you freedom, that gives you time, that gives you money, gives you fulfillment. So creating the right energetic container for success. There's a few key things here that you need to do in order to set up yourself for success over your first 90 days or your second 90 days or whatever 90-day sprint you're on. And if you're tuning into this, maybe this is an invitation or a call for you to do a 90-day sprint. They're powerful. I'm in the middle of one now. I'm in the thick of it, and it's epic. So many things are happening. It's intense. It's insane. And with each time you do one, you level up. More stuff happens. Bigger stuff happens. More abundance can happen, or whatever your result is. If you do a 90-day sprint in your fitness, right, and your body shape, what you want to create, you'll get to a certain level after the first 90 days. Do one again. Let's say you might have a break for a little bit. Do one again. Then you're going to take it to another level. It's the same thing in your business. You're going to grow. You're going to expand. But the first thing is to set up the energetic container for success. There's a few key things you need to do. And the first thing is having a conversation with yourself, getting yourself on board, convincing yourself that this is what you want to do, having a pep talk with yourself and say, hey, bro, it's time to draw a line in the sand. It's time to step up as a man. It's time to do something that I'm proud of. It's time to do that thing that's been on my heart for a while. It's time to really go all in on my business. It's time to create financial success for me and my family, and for leave a legacy, whatever it is. It's time to, really go all in on my brand. It's time to level up and create omnipresence in my social media content. Part of my 90-day sprint is putting out this podcast, The Rich Mystic Man. This is part of my up level. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while, for many years actually, and here I am actually finally doing it because it's part of my 90-day sprint. You do the things you say you're going to do because you set up a strong routine for success, and you set up the energetic container, you envision it, you see it, you show up, you act on it, and magic stuff happens. Magic stuff falls into place. And you're faced with anything that's out of alignment with the new reality version of yourself that you want to become, that's shown to you so you can work through that, move through that, dissolve that, And so you can create the space in your being to become the version of the person that you've been working on and envisioning as part of this process. And I'll break down what this process is now. So the first thing is having a conversation with yourself and just getting yourself jacked, getting yourself juiced, getting yourself pumped, man. Like you're doing it and you're excited about it. And hopefully my excitement and conviction around this is having an impact on you. And you're like, actually, man, maybe I can do some cool stuff in the next 90 days. So setting up the energetic container, having a conversation with yourself. The second thing you need to do is have a conversation with your family or your partner or your parents or anyone who's close to you, and let them know what you're doing. Sit them down. Like I had this conversation with my wife around my music because I had the opportunity arise to create 12 tracks, create an album over 12 weeks with my producer, Johnny, which was a big shift for me. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of focus. It's a lot of time. And so I'm like, well, there's probably going to be time away from the family. I'm going to be out of the house more. There's going to be more studio time. There's time, there's energy, there's resources, there's money that's going into this. So I need to have a conversation with my wife and let her know this is my focus. And so I did. I had a conversation. We had a chat, and I said, listen, this is what I'm doing. This is why it's important to me. And, if you want to create financial results in your business, then it's like, listen, babe, I really feel some powerful stuff can happen over this 90 days. I'm really excited about it. And my goal, my intention is there's going to be more energy, and there's probably going to be less time that I'm going to have available for you. And this is where my energy is. And my goal is that over the 90 days that I'm creating more financial results to give us more freedom. So we could have that holiday, so we could buy that car, so we can move into the new house, so we can so I can stop working so much, so I can have some more time with the family, so I can get my weekends back, whatever it is. So get them on board, get them sold, communicating their values. How's it going to be affecting them in a positive way? So for me, with my music, my brother passed away late last year, and I've been grieving. And so, I've been in a bit of a dark place for a lot of the time. And so part of my reasoning for doing the music was like, listen, like music lights me up. It's inspiring. It brings me joy. And my wife was like, you know what? You're right. Like, this is the happiest I've seen since your brother passed away, when I was like, spending more time in the studio. She's like, I think do it. And so I got her on board. Happy wife, happy life, but it's also happy hubby, happy bubby. So yeah, having the conversation with your partner and letting them know, or your kids or your family or your mum or whoever's around you, letting them know, listen, dad's going to be, or if you're a woman listening to this, mum's going to be, this is the focus for the next 90 days. It's just 90 days. It's not 90 years. It's not 90 months. It's not 90 decades. It's 90 days. And it's not 9 days. It's 90 days. So it's still a decent time. So having that conversation. Then the first thing you want to do after that, you've had the conversation. Cool. You've got the space. You've got the permission. And maybe they're a little bit skeptical. And you just have to say, listen, you're just going to have to trust me on this. You're going to have to back me. And I'm not saying like, totally forget your family, forget your health, forget everything else while you're just focusing on your business. That's not what I'm talking about, right? I understand we have our needs. We need to rest. We have our family. We have other commitments, 100%. I'm spending more time in the studio, and I'm still there for my family. I'm still a good husband. I still want to work on my relationship. I still want to have a good, connection with my kids. I want to be there for my parents and my siblings. And so it's not forgetting that, it's not throwing that out, but it's just maybe there needs to be a little bit of energy. And you'll realize that there's a lot of time probably wasted in other areas that you could then contribute to this. And so maybe you're spending too much time at the gym, or too much time scrolling, or too much time watching TV, or too much time just wasting time somewhere. How can you then channel some of that energy into what you want to create? I talk about on the next episode of, you're like, how's he talking into the future? I pre-recorded 3 episodes and I did the second one first. So, because that felt better. I can't even remember what I was talking about now. So yeah, I talked about Johnny. If you go listen to the second episode, it's pretty dope. I was talking about Johnny, my producer, and he said something powerful to me. He said, dude, just with your writing, it's like, just do 2 hours a day. That's it. 2 hours a day. Get it done first thing. I was like, all right, cool. My kids wake up at 6:30. I was like, I'm going to get up at 4 to 6. I'm going to write 2 hours. He goes, once you've done it, that's it. It's done. It's done. So create some space. You're going to need to create some space for you to show up for the things that you need to do. So you've created the space, you created some energetic space for yourself, but it's going to need to be some time that's going to be devoted to your craft, to your vision, to what you want to create. Now, the next thing you want to do is get clear on what it is you want to create. Because if you don't have a target, how are you going to know if you ever get there? So get clear on the future version of yourself. And I run you through a short process. This is something that you can do in your own time. And if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. And if you have to have your eyes open because you're driving or doing something, then keep your eyes open. You can still do it with your eyes open. But what I want you to do is just future pace. And future pace is you're just imagining that you're in a future version of yourself, and it's 90 days from now. It's 90 days from now. So get an idea from the date. It's not that important, but it's 90 days from now. And you're there celebrating with some loved ones. And you're there with your loved ones. You're celebrating at your favorite cafe or restaurant or place to go out. And you're there and they're congratulating you. They're saying, babe, like, well done. Dad, wow, this transformation. You've changed so much. And like, I'm just so proud of the results that you've created. Tell me, what has happened? What is the results you've created over the last 90 days? And from this space, from this place of feeling, jot down if you can write. If you've got your eyes closed and you're sitting down, otherwise if you're just driving, just take a mental note. What are you feeling? Where are you? What are some of the results you've created? And this is giving you ideas of the direction that you need to go. And maybe you already have a goal, but you're like, yes, I did it. Could be a certain position in your business or amount of sales or amount of money you've made or amount of people you've helped or amount of kilos you've lost or a place that you are now or a goal weight that you've achieved. And you're here and you're telling your loved ones about it. And they're like, wow, that's amazing. So good. So proud of you. What are you going to do to celebrate? Well, I'm going to go on a trip. I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to take you guys out for dinner. That's where we are now. We're going out for dinner. So take a mental note of how you're rewarding yourself. And then what I want you to do in your own time is jot this down. And the more like feeling words you can add to it, a mentor of mine, Cameron George, shared about the 5 senses goal. And so it's like the more senses you can involve in this, the better results you're going to get, because the more feeling you can connect to within this future pace vision of yourself, then the more you're going to connect with it on a daily basis. Because what I'm going to ask you to do is connect with this on a daily basis after you write this out. So write out your 90-day 5 senses goal. And this isn't just a goal like I am blah, 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 a millionaire or making $10,000 a month. This is like super clear and crisp. It's a story. It's a script. It's like a detailed version of you in 90 days. So if you can do this now, do it. But if not, pause the podcast and do it. But if not, then, come back to it. Mental note, do it though. This is a key element. Do it. Don't just go, oh yeah, this sounds awesome, and then not do it. It's doing this that makes the big difference. So just write out with as much detail. This is where I am. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm smelling. This is what I'm sensing. This is what's happened. This is the results that I've created. Give it detail. Give it feeling. Give it emotion. And write it out and then print it, or write it out and then stick it somewhere. Stick it somewhere so you can see it. And then what I'm going to ask you is read it every single day. Read it every single day until you're living it, at least for the next 90 days. Read it every day for 90 days, sometimes twice a day. This is setting up the energetic container, and it's connecting you to the future-paced timeline version of yourself. So get clear on what that is. You don't have to put a date on it if it doesn't feel right, but just get clear on this future version of yourself, or put the date of when you finish your 90 days. Okay, and put this somewhere where you see it and you'll remind you to read it every day, maybe on the back of the toilet. Now, the second step is take that bit of information, bullet point it, and put it on index cards. So you can get these at news agencies or office works. They're little index cards. You know, they're about 10 centimeters by 5 centimeters, little bits of cardboard with lines on them, and write down the goal sort of more in bullet point. So it might be like a financial goal, how many sales you've made, if it's sales, you know, your dream weight you're now at. So it's just redefining in bullet point form the big 5 senses goal that you have in a small on a small index card, what I call an intention card. And this is your intention. And write it out 5 or 6 times, the exact same thing. And the reason I ask you to do it 5 or 6 times, you're going to stick those around the house. Put one on your fridge, put one in your shower, put one on your steering wheel, put one on the back of the toilet, put one on the book you're reading, put one just around so it's reminding you. So when you're brushing your teeth, you go in the bathroom, you're like, oh yeah, you're reading your goals. Like, cool. Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. Sweet. You know, you're getting something out of the fridge. You're like, oh, instead of just staring there looking in the fridge what you're going to eat, you're reading your goals. You know, you're making dinner, it's above the range hood, and you're reading it. You're like, oh yeah, that's my goals. Okay, yeah, sweet. It keeps you in the energy of it, keeps you focused. Right? And now the next thing you can do is create a commitment statement. Right? Write this out. I, insert name, commit 100% to doing whatever it takes, traveling whatever distance to be financially successful, or to be successful in whatever you want. Signed, Clint X Morgan, or sign your name. Commit to it. Because what I realized is that before I did this first 90-day sprint, I wanted results. I dreamt of results. I talked about results, but I wasn't really all in. I wasn't really committed. And I realized through my partner, my wife now, Christy, what shifted when we went from an uncommitted relationship where I was like, half in, wasn't sure if I wanted to be with her. She was the same. It was sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, on, off. Then once I realized that I was like, no, I love this bird. I want to be with her. I want to spend my life with her. Then I made a commitment, said, let's do it. Let's go all in. Started talking about getting married. Shifted the energy of it because I was committed. I went from being uncommitted to being committed. So I applied the same thing to my business, and things shifted because I became committed. When you're committed to something, you do the thing regardless of how you're feeling. I'll share this in the next podcast is, you know, sometimes we don't feel like doing stuff, but when we're committed, we do it anyway. And I use the example of writing, and I'll share it again here. You know, sometimes with writing music, I don't feel like writing music. And then sometimes I do feel like writing music. But both times I'll go and write music, and the end result is more music written. It doesn't really matter how I feel when I'm starting it. If I sit down to write, the result will be more music written. So the same thing with your content or your marketing or your sales or your business, or, you know, even sitting down to read your goals or your 5 senses goals, or, you know, meditating or whatever it is you want to do. If you just sit down to do it, then it's being done, as opposed to not doing it because you don't feel like it, or you're tired, or whatever reason. You're up all night because the kids didn't sleep. Insert a million reasons, which are all valid. But if we just sit down to do the thing, then you see what happens. Magic might happen. You might shift your energy and things start to flow. So do the things that you're committed to. That's what happens when you're committed. So get committed. Write that commitment statement and stick it somewhere. Put it next to your 90-day 5 senses goal, somewhere where you can see it. So this is setting up the energetic container for success. So there's another tool you can use called a future-paced video, where you create a video of the future-paced version of yourself. So you could read your script out in video form, and it's talking from a future version of yourself. And this is something that I used many years ago for the first time, because I was like future pacing. I'm like, okay, this concept came into my field and I was exploring it. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm a future version of myself, if I'm one part of creating success in my business was like, I just started acting like a millionaire. What would a millionaire do in this situation? Would a millionaire buy this thing? Would a millionaire question this? Or would a millionaire just do it? And I started asking that question. It's like, how would a millionaire act in this situation? How would they show up? What would they do? What would be their action step right now? And I started asking that question and operating from that place, thinking, I didn't really know because I wasn't a millionaire yet, but I was just tuning into that frequency. And I started acting like a millionaire before I came one. And then what happened? So start showing up and tuning in as the version of the person that you want to become. And just ask yourself, what would a successful person do in this situation? And start doing that. So I do that often. And if I have a live audience, I'll often ask the audience, where was I? But I don't have that luxury here in the recording. So chances are I'll either listen back to it and then you'll hear it. We finish the story in another episode. I'll create a whole podcast around it, or just know that it wasn't meant to be shared in this time, and you'll get the answer from it somewhere else. Or, comment below on the YouTube, ask the question, I can answer it. Send me an email or jump onto the website, send an inquiry, and I can answer the question or finish off that story. So yeah, getting clear, getting committed, creating the energetic container. Oh yeah, that's right. I was talking about the future pace video version. So I was like, what would the future version of me do? Here we go. Don't have to write in if you want to, but I've got back. See, I always come back. Not always, but most times I'll come back. So what's that future pace version of yourself, right? And what are they doing? So I was asking myself, what would they be doing? How would they be showing up? And this is a good question to ask yourself. What would the abundant version of me doing? What would the healthy version of me doing? What would the confident version of me be doing in this situation? So I'm like, you know what? If I had my reality, and right, my goal was to go to Vegas, to go to this event. I wasn't sure I was going to get the money. I needed to make a certain amount of sales and hit a position in my business to be able to go over there. I needed to make some money to book the flights. I was like, what would I be doing if I was there? And I was like, I'd do a video. Yeah, I'd do a video. Because I was just sort of getting into doing videos. I leaned into my discomfort, and I was creating more live videos and doing videos and putting content out. I'm like, I'd do a video and just share with my audience like what I've done and what I've achieved. And so I just got my phone out with my wife. I said, hey, babe, just trust me on this. Just come along for the ride. And I said, hey, guys, over here in Vegas, you're not going to believe what happened. Created all these results in my business. We've done all these sales. I'm so proud of our team. Crushed it. Big month. Massive goals. It was more expanded than that. I'm just sort of briefing it up for the purpose of the podcast. I sort of spoke for maybe a minute or two. I said, okay, guys, stay true to yourself, stay true to your goals, never give up on your dreams, and stay hydrated. And I finished the video, and I watched it back, and it was just funny. Because I was there in just my clothes. I was obviously in the lounge room. I wasn't in Vegas. My wife was there looking at me like, what's going on? But it just made me laugh, and it connected me to that energy, that creative energy, and just made me feel good. Right. And sure enough, I watched that video every day, read my 90-day script, saw my goals around the house, and it kept me accountable. Because I remember having the goals around the house is powerful, because I was living in a share house at the time. And I remember Edie, one of the girls I live with, she came up to me and she's like, you going to Vegas, Clint? And I was like, how'd you know? And she's like, it's in the bathroom. I'm like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm going to Vegas. Yeah. So now it wasn't just me I was accountable to. It was like my household and, the people that I live with. So it keeps you accountable, keeps you honest. So make it public, share it with people. Share with people what you're going to do. Tell your loved ones, tell your friends, make a statement. I've just put some new ones up around my house, around my music and my business and things that I'm creating at the moment. And around my wife and my relationship, my wife comes in, she goes, "Oh, that was really sweet, darling, what you said about us, what we're creating together." So I said, we have a juicy, hot, sexy, intimate relationship, right? So I put it on the paper. Unless it's on the paper, it's not really real. It's just an idea in your mind. So get it on the paper. So this is the energetic side. So now you've got the energetic side. You've created this experience. You've got your video. You've got your field, right? You want to become a guardian of your space. What are you consuming? What are you feeding into your mind, right? You need to become a guardian and also catch your thoughts, right? If you become better at your language and what you're putting into your mind, then it's going to create different neural pathways that's going to align you for more success. And so catch yourself if you start talking into fear, into poverty, into the results in the place that you don't want to go, because that can contribute to that energy. So if you start like talking yourself out of stuff, or saying you can't do something, or saying you're not good enough, catch yourself, or thinking that, catch yourself and shift it into possibility thinking, into focusing on something that you do want to create, that you're dreaming of, that you're inspired by. So you need to become a guardian of your mind. And maybe I'll expand on this conversation on another podcast. And so, because there's a lot of juice that can go in that. And I think it's really powerful, because we can all have these negative influences on our life that push us down and push us into a certain energy frequency. So we want to become like real solid in our energy. And the dog next door is barking. It's triggering me. Shut up, dog. Stop barking. Hopefully you can't hear it because the noise cancellation is epic. But if you can, it's just the dog. So yeah, so becoming a guardian of what you're putting in, And I had this oracle reading the other day with my business oracle, and she said, "Clint, if you don't want to see something in your reality, hold your tongue." And I was like, "Oh, geez, if you do want to see something in your reality, speak about it." So what are you talking about? You're talking something into existence. So you're talking about what you want to create, or you're talking about what you don't want to create. Put energy on what you want to create. Become a master of creator. Talk possibilities. Talk about the results that you are creating, the energy and where you're going. Make that the focal point of your life, of your conversation. And if people start contributing in a different way, that's talking down or bitching or moaning or whatever, just don't contribute to it and watch the energy pass. Thanks, Gilda, for that bit of wisdom. Gilda Rose. So that's the energetic container. Now, the next part, the strategy, it's not that it's the easy part, but it's the simplest part. Actually, it's probably more complex, but I can't go into full details of it now because everyone's going to have a different strategy. Whatever you're building is going to have a different strategy. Like if you're building a business, it's going to be a different strategy if you're building health. Like what you need to do to create the results you want, I don't know what that is. Only you know what that is, or you need to find out what that is. However, I'll show you a simple process which is going to help get you in that direction. What if you were to do just 3 things every day that would move you closer towards your goals? Now, if it's a business, 3 things could be generating more leads, communicating with those leads, and closing those leads, or giving those leads offers to come and work with you or buy your product or take an offering. 3 things. Cool. And then you might expand on those 3 things. Okay, how am I generating more leads? And don't try and do everything at once. Might be one stream. Cool. I'm going to generate leads on Facebook ads or Facebook organic or Instagram organic, or I'm going to blow that up. Okay, how am I then communicating with those leads? Okay, well, I'm creating a piece of content every single day, at least. Then I'm doing a story or a reel. Okay, I'm giving them an offer. How am I doing that? Am I asking them to get on a call with me? Am I asking them to watch a webinar? Am I asking them to fill out a type form? Am I asking them just to respond to a post and then I can reach out to them, have a conversation, have a text, whatever it is? Everyone's going to have a different strategy on whatever they're doing. But get clear on what's your daily method of operation. Because I was at this same time when I was doing this, I went to a workshop by Jeffrey Slater called Free Humanity. And I was sitting in the workshop and he was talking about, he said, I can tell you the success of anybody by looking at their calendar. He said, a successful person, their calendar will be filled with sales, calls, conversations, and income-producing activities. It was something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't even have a calendar. No wonder I wasn't getting any results. So I made it a goal. I made it an intention to fill that calendar up with sales calls, with sales meetings. And back then was like, I was building a direct selling business, old school, where I was like, when I say old school, I was like contacting friends and family. I was reaching out to people. I was doing coffee meetings. I was, demoing the product. I was, drawing out compensation plans. I was showing people how they could make money, by selling these products, So I made sure I filled that was my focus. And how was I generating leads? So I was having these sales conversations. I was putting out offers. I was inviting people, and I was also creating content. So I was generating leads by expanding my presence online by creating content online. So I was doing videos and live streams and stories, and maybe stories weren't a thing back then, but I was doing videos and live streams. And I remember live streams where I think they sort of just started coming out. And so I was creating content. I was getting in front of my audience. I was giving them value. I was sharing with them. I was sharing myself. And I was making offers. I was selling. I was writing. I was doing all these things that were like uncomfortable for me because I wasn't that good at them. But I was leaning in. So with your daily method of operation, back to what I said earlier, is like linking it in with doing what you said you were going to do. If everyone just did what they said they were going to do, you'd have more results. I'm speaking to myself here. I'm not taking myself out of the equation. If I just did what I said I was going to do, I'd probably be a billionaire. It's like there's so many things that we said we're going to do, but we don't do it. Right? And it can happen on a daily basis. All right, I'm going to do this today. And then you get derailed and you don't end up doing any of it. But, like for me, I was like, I'm going to record 2 podcasts today. So I had a bunch of things come up, but I was like, cool, it's 5 p.m. now. I still got to do this podcast. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do it. And so here we are. So doing the things that you say you're going to do, whatever that is, whether it's content or, talking to people, reaching out to people, having sales conversations, or if it's food, like if it's diet, like exercising, eating good food in your body, prepping food, learning about food, researching, and this can go back to learning as well as like learning, reading books, listening to a podcast, listening to my podcast, subscribe. So doing the things that's going to move the needle forward on what you want to create. So if we just do the things that we say we're going to do, that we write on this list, our daily method of operation, it'll move us one step closer to our goals every single day. And have a goal to get busy. Not busy in an unproductive way, but get shit happening. Hustle, man. Make some moves. Hustle gets a bad rap these days, but to me, hustling is just making moves, getting busy, getting stuff happening, moving and shaking. Your goals aren't going to build themselves. No one's going to do it for you until you have money to pay someone to do it for you, but it's still you showing up, still your intention. It's still what you want to grow. It's your vision. So it's going to take your energy. So no one's going to do it for you. So show up, do the best you can do, be the best you can be, and know that this is an uncomfortable process. And know that when you set the goal and set the intention, that anything that's not in alignment with this will be shown to you of something that's out of alignment. That could come up in discomfort, could come up in fear, could come up in negativity from a family member. Like the resistance is real. Everyone has resistance to their goal because they got to go beyond and get outside their comfort zone and kill that small mind, their ego that's stopping them from creating the results they want. So if you understand that bitch voice, as Andy Frisella says, that bitch voice will talk you out of your goals and dreams. When it starts doing it, go, haha, not listening. Because it's, I got that voice inside my head all the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And I was like, don't even listen to it anymore. Sometimes I do, but most times I don't. And if you do, listen to it. Don't do it all the time. Get better at it. Get better at listening to the boss voice, the voice that's going to move you forward, the boss that's encouraging you, that's telling you can do it, that's encouraging you to get up early, that's pushing your edges, that's inviting you to remain disciplined. Disciplined. If you can be disciplined, then you'll get a better result out of life. If you just do the things you said you were going to do and consistently do that day after day for 90 days, see what happens. 90 days, see what happens. So to recap, understand the power of 90 days, have a conversation with those around you, get clear on where you want to go, create the energetic container for success, script out your 90-day 5 senses goal, get your intention cards, write it around the house, do your future paced video, get your commitment statement, create your daily method of operation, fill up the calendar, get moving, make some magic happen. Understand that it's not going to be all rainbows and lollipops. You're stretching into the unknown. You're doing things which are uncomfortable, causing discomfort, and you're growing. You're moving one step closer, day by day, piece by piece. And tune back into this podcast, because my intention is to give value and to be an inspiring example of what's possible, and to empower you to be an inspiring example of what's possible. So you can show up, so you can lead your life, so you can create success in different areas, financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So you can feel a sense of fulfillment and purpose and love and passion and connection in your life. And so tune into these podcasts, and I'll share the journey. I'll keep it as real as possible. But if you can apply the 90-day sprint, maybe re-listen to this and go over it again when you got some space, and do it again and again and again. And if you feel you're going a little bit off path, maybe listen to this 90-day sprint podcast again. And if you have someone you want to do this with, share it with them. Say, let's do this together, because having someone doing it together with is powerful. It can help you remain accountable to someone else, and share it around. That would be, I'd be extremely grateful. And I know this podcast will grow through word of mouth. And so I'd be extremely grateful for sharing. So if you think of someone now, share it with them. Say, hey, bro, check out this. Just watch this podcast. If you got value from it, if you didn't like it, don't share it. If you didn't like it, don't tell anyone. If you loved it, tell everybody. So yeah, big love. Go hard, go home. Go hard and go home. Have fun doing it. Raise your frequency. Get in a good vibe. Dance, play, love your family, love one another, love your project, love your life. Do the thing that's it is exciting for you, is inspiring for you. And I'll see you on the next episode. Big love.
Sitting here watching the clock, I'm struggling, thinking of the bullshit that I've been juggling. Is there more to life than this? I'm thinking